Next, we'll try out the devise features for requiring authentication on certain web pages. And so again, we can refer to the devise gem documentation in the controller filters and helper section for what we're going to use here. And so in particular, the very first thing they list here is this before action, which is part of the Rails controller API. And basically it's a way to set a command that runs before either all controller actions or only certain controller actions. And so in this case, we're going to want to make sure that the user is authenticated. And so that's what, and if they aren't authenticated, we kick them over to the login page. So that's what this one's going to do. So let's go ahead and make that change. And so we're going to do this. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I only want certain pages to have a required login. So for example, the quiz pages, like where you're taking the quiz, anybody can do that. But if you want to edit or access the CRUD pages, then you need to be logged in. So in order to achieve that, what I'll first do is update the base class of the controllers, which is application controller. And I'm going to make it so that all pages require a login. And then we'll unset that for certain pages. So app controllers, application controller, doesn't really have anything in it now, but now it does. So we'll just put before action, authenticate user. And so we can go ahead and test this change out by restarting the web server. All right, so I'll just reload this page. Okay, so we're still signed in, so let's go ahead and sign out. And you notice what it did there is I signed out, and what sign out does is redirects you back to like the home page. But now I've required logins for every page. So what it in turn did is it tried to load the home page, but because I wasn't logged in, it then kicked me over to a sign in page and give me a little warning here. So that's what happened there. If I basically if I try to access any page, it's going to do this. So I can try localhost 3000. Here I wind up at sign in again. I can try quizzes, and I'll wind up back at the sign in. So everything's locked down. That is to say you have to be logged in to get at anything. Now we can loosen this requirement for certain pages using the skip before action, authenticate only, and then you can give an array of action symbols, which are basically the method names, or just a 1, 2, it also works, an individual or an array. So I'm going to do that next. So what do I want? I have to ask myself which things I want to allow. So on the pages controller, I would like to allow all of these. There's no reason you need to be logged in to access any of these. And so that's home, that's about, and that is the so those. So again, the command is skip before action. We're skipping the authenticate user before action call, and but we're only applying this to these actions. Now, so that'll allow these to render, but I'm going to be asking them to choose quizzes and then to for multiple choice questions to be asked. And so the ask action here, we want anybody to be able to run also. And the check answer, we want them to be able to check their answers. And there's actually one more action that we need to allow non-logged in people to access, and that is in the quizzes. There is this home action, which is kind of where you pick the random question for that quiz, and so we want anybody to be able to do that. But the rest of these are the CRUD pages, so index, show, new, all that will require you to be logged in for that. So I'll kill our server and restart it. Okay, so I'm not logged in at the moment. So now if I go to the home page, now I'm not signed in, notice, but I can load the page. It's not forcing me to log in, and I can ask questions, ask a random question, and I can give an answer, and I get sent back here and ask another question, and I can go back to the home. Now the thing I can't do the thing I can't do is teachers. So this, now notice it's forcing me to sign in again. So that takes care of that. So let's go ahead and check in our changes.